Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. My name is Dave Savage, CEO of Mortgage Coach, and today I am interviewing for the first time Ron Vaimberg. What's up, Ron?
How's it going, everybody? Hey, Dave.
Good. So I have seen Ron countless times, on the road at events, and we always talk about, hey, I got to have you in the Mortgage Coach channel. We got to do an interview, and we're finally doing it, buddy.
I'm super excited to be doing this with you today, buddy. Totally.
Yeah, so how long have you been, in the mortgage space, whether it's, in the trenches, coaching, mentoring, what is your backstory and tenure?
Quick backstory is I started in 1984 as an originator. Before that, early in my career, I did a little bit of real estate. But mortgage career started in 1984 and broker, banker, banks, owned my own mortgage company for a number of years. And then in 1997, I started training and coaching while I was still originating loans. And now 21 years later, actually going into my 22nd year, here I am just doing training and coaching.
Yeah, well, I hear a lot of great things about your sessions and how they're unique. The things I've heard from mortgage coach loan officers is, it's you not only give ideas and strategies, it's like a workshop. You really work on building skills and habits. At least that's what I've heard. I've seen you speak, but I haven't execute.
Yeah, that is my focus. I'm not, ideas are great, but what I want to do is I want to make sure that when people walk out of any kind of presentation I'm doing, they have an action strategy, something that they can walk with and work with right then and there. So they don't have to think about implementation. They just have to do the implementation.
I'm looking forward to hearing what that looks like. I coming into 2019, I think more than ever, loan officers need to change their habits, whether they're killing it. I mean, even the best loan officers I hear are making more changes to their practice than ever right now. And if you're struggling, it's like you need to fix some of those skills and habits like pronto, or it's going to be tough. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What advice are you giving to your clients and to folks as we enter 2019?
Part of the advice, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go further into this, but part of the big piece of advice is with everything coming at you with technology, and technology is very important. What's happening is a lot of loan officers are either losing their sales skills because they believe that technology is the answer and not understanding that technology makes you better, or they're actually not even taking the time, especially newer loan officers, a lot of them aren't even taking the time to really learn the essence of what it takes to communicate and influence people. They're coming into this technology age, which is, we're surrounded by it, we're using it right here. But if you don't know what to say to people, we still got to communicate, we still got to talk, especially in our business, because, despite all the technology that's around, this is the biggest emotional purchase or emotional transaction that an individual or family is going to go through. They got to talk to people. You're still not doing a mortgage through a computer. You're applying for it. That starts the process. So for me, my message to people is you got to know what to say. You have to know how to say it. You have to know how to influence. You have to know how to ask the right questions. And a lot of loan officers aren't hearing that message. And they're struggling.
Yeah. Well, I also think part of it is that business was so good in 2017, 2016. And, relatively speaking, 2018, while it was a down year for a lot of folks, it wasn't like a bad year. It's just that there's an increased number of channels coming after the family. So you're having new channels, real estate companies own mortgage companies, league aggregators own mortgage companies.
Yep.
So you're having increased competition. And last year was a year where, hey, we just had to compete better, and with less production. So I think people just aren't, the sales skills for the entire industry needs to upgrade. So I know you have this 7 myths presentation, which is what I wanted you to come in and deliver to the mortgage coach community. I do want to remind everybody watching this, It's mortgage coach. So it's mastermind style. If you have a question for Ron, if you have a quote, if you're watching this on Facebook, live, put it in comments. I will be following that. If you're with us live in Zoom right now, you can either post it in comments or questions, and we'll bring it in. So Ron, why don't you share your screen? I know you got some slides.
Yep.
Think of it, you and I are on stage right now. I'm going to go sit in a stool off to the side. So I'm going to turn off my screen. If I turn my monitor back on, that means I have something to say, or you pull me in when you want me to add to what you're sharing. And I'll let you know when I see your screen, brother.
Perfect. I'm going to move it over right now.
All right. What's up, Kim? Live on Zoom. Remember, folks, ask questions. The more interactive this is, the more we, ask questions. If you have a favorite quote, like you get a big takeaway, something you want to remember that Ron said, post that in comments too. What are the big takeaways from this conversation? So, boom, 7 myths of agents that prevent loan officers from success. So what are these myths, brother?
All right, I'm going to just start banging them out. And again, the questions will be great as we're going through this. But really, what I want to do is there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people talking about a lot of things that you can do to succeed, and there are a lot of things you can do. But when it comes to agents, until you can first get noticed, you don't have an opportunity. So there's a lot of myths that are out there. So I'm just going to run through it. Let's get down to the core of what it really takes to develop great agent relationships. So the first thing is, and this isn't really a myth, this is just a concept. There is no silver bullet. And anybody who's been hearing especially what I've been promoting lately and talking about lately in the marketplace, is the silver bullet nonsense has got to stop. You as a loan officer, you're being inundated with so many messages of things that you can do to succeed, and it's coming at you in all different directions, and it's almost like you don't even know where to start. It's like, well, do I do this one? Do I do this one? What do I do with my money? Where do I invest, in resources? And the resources are great. Many of them are great. Some of them aren't. But what you have to understand is that none of these are a silver bullet. And this will make more sense as I go just a little bit further. So here's just a perfect example. This is actually just a picture. This has nothing to do with the mortgage industry, but this is the kind of garbage that is being sent out in emails. This just happened to be what you're looking at is from a voicemail transcription on my iPhone. And I had gotten this message. It was actually right before I was doing a different webinar, a similar message. And I started laughing when it said $7,000 a week, but this involves no selling, and the leads are generated for you with automatic voicemail drops, just like the one you're listening to right now. Well, here's the reality. I never listened to it, and I'm sure you didn't listen to it. But these are, that message, I kind of laughed, and I'm sure every one of you watching and listening to me has gotten a message like that. But you know what? In the mortgage space, you're receiving emails from people who are saying, just buy my system and you never have to leave your house. I've seen some emails where somebody talks about, I generate 15 loans a month or some kind of nonsense like that. Not 15 loans, that's not nonsense. But he goes, I do it in my underwear. And I'm like, I go, the only person who's succeeding with this is the person who's hawking that to you, okay? In sales and in marketing, you still have foundational things that have to be done. So in order for you to succeed at the highest level, understand first of all what I call the ultimate success formula for your relationship and income. Great relationships come from having knowledge about the business, having knowledge about how to influence, how to speak with people. You've got to take action. In fact, this is the one that I always tell people you got to circle, because you've all heard this expression, knowledge is power. No, I know some very intelligent people who are not very successful because they're so focused on being intelligent, but they never take action. So we've got a lot of people in the mortgage space, a lot of people in the mortgage arena that I will come across, and they're very intelligent people, very nice people, but by their own admission, they say, yeah, I need to take more action. I need to do more of whatever. Without action, nothing works. And then you've got to commit to mastery. And mastery is simply not trying something. I hear this all the time. People say, oh, I tried it and it didn't work. I'm like, well, how many times did you try it? Well, once. I'm like, how many times did you practice it? And I get like this look like deer in the headlights. Like, what do you mean? I go, did you practice your execution of whatever your plan was before you ever even did it? And I just get this blank stare. And without these three things, if you don't practice your relationships or your presentations with realtors or what you're going to say, how do you expect to be ever good at it? And believe me, anybody looking at you or listening to you, if you can't deliver your message in a congruent way with strength and power, they're not going to listen to you because they're going to know that you're not secure in what you're saying. So part of what we do here, and I'm going to jump into the myths now, but part of what we've got to be focused on is what's going on here. And you've got to be able to just, quickly deliver your presentation, deliver your questions or whatever it is in a powerful, confident, impactful way. And you can't do that without a commitment to mastery. So with that, let's go through the 7 myths real quick. 1, rates are everything. I coach a lot of loan officers all across the country, and different markets have different nuances, but the questions from realtors and the situations from realtors and relationships doesn't really change from city to city or state to state. And so I hear loan officers say, oh, my rates aren't competitive or what have you, and that's what the realtors really care about. And I'm like, hold on a second, time out. And I ask this question at live events all the time, especially when I'm doing private events at a company. Because before I go in and do the training, I always ask the managers or leaders, I say, who are your top producers? How do they get their business? And typically the top producers are, I get who they are, and they're getting their business from realtors and referral partners. So what will happen is someone else in the audience will say, well, rates, our rates aren't competitive and realtors really care about that. And I'm like, hold on a second. Well, I know Dave over here, and I'm not putting Dave on the pedestal, but I know Dave is the #1 loan officer in the company. Dave, where do you get your business from? And then Dave will answer, well, I get it from realtors. So wait a second. You have one person here who's believing that rates is everything. You have another person here who's proving that it's not. And right there is the gap, because the person who's believing that rates are everything, that's a myth. Every one of you watching this knows of a loan officer, either in your company or in another company, that has higher rates and fees than you, but yet they're producing more. So rates are not everything, not in the realtor's mind. Realtors will give you smoke screens. They give you questions. They give you objections. And it's very, very important to understand that any objection you ever get from a realtor is an objection. It's a question. It's not a rejection. There's a big difference between an objection and a rejection. A rejection is when where the person's giving you the middle fingers or hanging up on you or saying, don't ever call me again, or saying something nasty to you. That's a rejection. A person saying to you, well, what are your rates? That's not a rejection. That's an objection. That's a question that you have to overcome. So if you've been conditioned to believe that rates are everything, just look around. There are examples everywhere of people who are producing more from the same resources with real estate agents that you are. So what's the difference? The game changer has to be them. Dave, I see you just jumped in.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to hit this one because, last year I noticed, I coach a lot of branch managers, a lot of companies on, how to improve conversion rates, how to improve production. And this year the theme was, how do we reduce price exceptions? And I have, I've not only coached branches, loan officers, and companies, but, I got a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but a number of mortgage coach branches where less than 10% of the loans are getting a price exception, and where that same company has other branches that are, north of 50%, and I've got loan officers in the same branch in the same markets, and one is 50% of their loans have price exceptions, and another one with a similar production. By the way, similar model, business from realtor. We're not talking about two different referral sources. It's got less than 10%. So I guess I just want everybody to resonate around this, is that if you are delivering, now by the way, if you're delivering a high value conversation where you're asking, what are your hopes, your goals, your dreams, and you're delivering a total cost analysis, and you're still getting price exceptions. By the way, there's more things you could do. But I just want to make sure everyone listening to this, I want you to write down right now, what percentage of your loans do you have to give a price exception on? And by the way, if you don't know the answer to that, that's a metric that you need to start knowing the answer to, because it's not just the company's problem. I know you as an LO, maybe that impacting your comp, but trust me, it's impacting your opportunity as a loan officer with the company you work with. So just a metric, what is your, what percentage of your loans are you giving a price exception on? And by the way, if you want to share it, put it in comments down below, and you're proud of it, share it. And if you're not proud of it and you just want to throw it out there because you want us to be your accountability partner, let us know what it is. Keep it rocking, man.
But Dave, you reminded me of a story this was back before the meltdown, when loan officers had the ability that you could share in increased pricing. So the company had their rates, and then they said if you got more, then we'd overages. I couldn't remember the word. So I know I'm dating it a little bit, but I'll never forget. There was a company I was doing a lot of business with, and I'm sitting with the CEO of the company, and we're talking strategies and what have you. And one of his loan officers comes in asking for a price exception. And I remember it as if it was yesterday. I just wish I could remember his name. And not that I'd say his first name, that's the last name, but he asked for this price exception. And the owner said, sure, but you're going to pay for half the exception. So I'm going to take half a hit and you're going to take half a hit. So basically it was a 50 basis point exception. He goes, you're going to get 25 off your commission. I'm going to get 25 off of mine. And the guy goes, okay, but you could see his face wasn't happy. He leaves the office. 60 seconds later, he intercoms the owner. And I'm sitting there, puts it on speaker, and he says, but if I sell the loan for more, do I make more? And we just started cracking up. So all of a sudden, when it was his commission that was getting impacted, all of a sudden he became a better salesperson. So you just reminded me of that story.
Yeah, well, first of all, Elizabeth, who just said her price exceptions for 2018 were 5.33. By the way, she knew the answer, and that, by the way, you should be really proud of that.
Way to go, Elizabeth.
I see a lot of great leaders. What's up, Lance? What's up, Dylan Kramer? So guys, let's throw it out there. What percentage of your loans had a price exception? Come on, let us know what it is. Anyways, keep it going, Ron.
Keep it going.
You've got a lot to go through here.
Being available 24/7, 365. Now, I tell my clients and I tell audiences all around the country, I go, if you say to a realtor, call me anytime, you are insane, because they will call you anytime. Now, you might say, well, that's what they want. No, they may tell you that's what they want. And there are certain real estate agents that will basically beat you to death that if you are not available all the time. But here's my question to you. First of all, let me just back up for a second. If you are consistently prospecting and marketing and developing relationships, then you get to pick and choose who you're going to ultimately work with. Most loan officers work from a point of scarcity. So what that means is they get in a relationship and they will do whatever they can to keep that relationship, versus recognizing that maybe this is not the healthiest relationship that they should have, and that they should go find more relationships. But now if you're going to go look for more relationships, now you're going into the lion's den and you might face objections or rejection. So some of us will tell them, I'm going to be available 24/7, 365, call me anytime. Well, what happens the first time you don't answer your phone, the first time you don't respond to their email or their text in a timely manner? You know the answer. They're going to go to that next loan officer. So one of the things that's very, very important is when you are meeting with a real estate agent, before you volunteer that you are available 24/7, 365, and I'm telling you, don't. Ask them, what are their expectations for response time? okay? You need to know what your rules of engagement are from the beginning, because if you don't know those rules of engagement, and then you're more likely to say something like this, you are setting yourself up for the situation that you're not going to be available that one time, and then they're going to move on to that next originator. Dave.
So yeah, I just have to plug the interview I did with Jeremy Forcier. If you're watching the recording of this, there'll be a link down below. It's one of the most viewed interviews in our community. So even if you've watched it, watch it again. But you'll know, while there's no doubt communication is an absolutely essential and probably the number one most important, criteria that realtors have. It's communication. But to your point, and I love what you said, ask them, what's your expectations? What do you like and don't like about who you're working with, and what are your expectations? So I just love that you put that, and there's no doubt anybody who's a baller and who's successful knows that people that are successful, they have systems, they have processes, and they want to work with people that have systems and processes. And by the way, the most successful people know that the word no is a really powerful word. That's what great leaders do, is they know when to say no and how to say no. So again, a link down below to the Jeremy Forcier interview, and keep it rocking, bro. This is a great conversation to kick off the year.
I'll keep going. Having more programs means more business. We talk about, oh, I need this program, I need that program. No, what you need to do is you need to speak to your strengths. If you don't have a particular program, it's easier for me to share this story. I have a client who is in Hawaii, and their company competes far more in the government space than they do in VA, FHA, and that's very big out in Hawaii. VA, FHA, and high balance. That is where they're really good. In the conforming space, they're not very competitive. So what was happening is the salesperson was getting so frustrated, because whenever they were going out and they were being asked about their rates or whatever it was, what was happening is she was losing business, because she would say, well, and she would actually say, well, we're not really competitive in this, but we are competitive in this. And I said, wait a minute, time out. I said, you got to change the whole game here. What you need to do is, when you're going out and you're talking to people, say, let me explain to you what we're great at and why people do business with us. And I immediately got her. I said, do not bring up conventional. Okay? If somebody asks you about conventional, just simply say, you know what, that's not our main forte here. We're not best at that. We can do it. We'll deliver for you super quick or what have you, but rates-wise, and people can see what the rates are. Rates-wise, she knew it, so she wasn't good. Instead of trying to defend that, all she did is she was honest with that. But I got her just saying to people, say, look, this is what we're really good at. This is what I'm really good at. This is what our company's really good at, and this is where we're going to rock it for you and your customers. And once she started feeling better about that, feeling better about how she was talking about her strengths, she stopped talking about her weaknesses, and guess what happened to her business? Every single month, it started going up more and more and more. More people were referring her business because she was talking about her strengths and not fearing her weaknesses. Hope that makes sense. Number 4, pay to play. Here's the bottom line. There are certain agents that no matter what, unless you're going to give them money, or companies, unless you're going to give them money, you're not going to do business with them. I don't advocate for that in any way, shape, or form. And I have a very simple phrase. Whenever I hear this at one of my live events and people say, oh, you got to give money or what have you. This is my response to that. I say, we are blessed. We are all blessed that whomever you choose to believe in, okay, this is not a religious statement I'm making here. It's a spiritual statement, that whoever or whatever you choose to believe in, they've made sure that the universe will always provide us an unlimited supply of realtors. And just remember that. If this person says no, as long as you're prospecting, as long as you're always trying to, or working towards developing more relationships, when you get that objection and you can't overcome it, just move on to that next person. But What's interesting, and I just did this with a client, and this was kind of unusual, but the concept can work for anybody. They had a real estate professional that was referring business to them, and they actually saved a few deals for this person. And then all of a sudden now the realtor basically put their hand out, and this person is staunchly against doing anything. He just refuses to do it. Put their hand out. And basically what I had him do is I basically had him say to the agent, say, let me ask you a question. The $30,000 that you just made in real estate commission that you wouldn't have because your other lenders turned it down and I was able to make these deals work, is that more or less valuable to you than whatever you're asking me for here, whatever that number was? And the realtor kind of sat back and said, I get that. Now you might say, okay, well, this person already proved himself. What about the person who asks for the pay to play before you even have a relationship? Well, where I'm working with my clients is where if you have a strategy, and certainly Mortgage Coach provides a number of strategies that you can work with your agents to help them do more business, you just have to ask a question. Say, which would be more valuable to you? Me helping you close an additional 5 transactions a year or 7 transactions a year, or whatever the number is based upon what you're doing, or what you're asking me for right now. If I can show you how I can help you do this, would this other conversation go away? Has anybody else had this conversation with you? See, it's about a series of questions. And if they're staunchly saying, give me, put money here, put money here, put money here, well, then you got to make a decision. To me, I refuse to pay for business. Okay, I don't believe in it. Okay, and I never have. But there are people that will ask. But as long as you consistently prospect and market, and remember, there's an unlimited supply out there. You don't have to pay to play. Dave.
No, I love that. I do want to at some point share my desktop because I want to make sure people come away with a couple value props to better position yourself both with the family and the realtor. So I know, just from the prep you and I did, we have something coming up where we're going to cover that. I do want to throw out there to the community, if you have, MSA relationships, joint venture relationships, I'd just love to get a feel for how many people on today's call are doing some investment with realtors. And by the way, I'm not here to judge because I know some of the most successful loan officers in America that have some relationships where they're co-investing together, and it's good business. I'm not here to say, don't do that. I just want to get a feel like if you are investing, paying to play, let us know. Put a chat below. What are you doing? How are you doing it? If you're really adamant about it, I don't do that, and you want to rant on why you don't do it, let me know, and just put that in comments, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Zoom. Let me know where you're at on that. Anyways, keep it going, Ron. You're killing it.
Dave, one comment I just want to make regarding what you said. In regard to pay to play, if you're going to legitimately co-market with someone, I got no issues with that whatsoever. If it's the people who are basically asking for this, and they're asking for, and it's not a joint marketing effort, or it's not a joint payment effort, that's what I'm talking about. No, I have no issues.
I know you do. I know your intent. And then also there's a lot of people where agents will just be throwing money at stuff. Like, let's face it, we're better at managing and aggregating leads and using our CRM than the mortgage space or than the real estate space is. I think mortgage professionals are better business people. And so there's just a lot of realtors that are throwing money at stuff. That's not paying off. And so, part of it is not only investing in that relationship, but bring a discipline. Hey, let's have a monthly review where we're reviewing results and we're improving our conversion rate. And I know you, Ron, you and I have talked enough to know that, good business relationships that have great ROI and they're compliant. You're all good with that. I just wanted to make sure.
I just wanted to make sure that the message didn't get skewed. But here is actually a big tip, though, that I can give you. When somebody asks you about co-marketing, co-branding, whatever it is, working together with them, And let's say they're even willing, they're being real. They're basically saying, hey, we're going to go in together and do this. You have to ask some questions. So these are some of the questions that I get my clients ask whenever they ask me about a co-branded or co-marketing agreement, or even an MSA or what have you. So somebody says, I want to invest. I'm just making, give an example. I want to invest in leads from Realtor.com or Zillow. Whether you like it or not, that's neither here nor there. What I say is, okay, ask the realtor, have you ever done this before? What have your results been? And if they say they've never done this before, ask them, and either way, you're going to ask them this question, what is your system for handling these leads? What has been your success rate? Because here's the thing, and if they've never done these leads before, then ask them, what is your system for handling leads? And that's such an important question. Because if they can't answer that question, then what they're doing is they got in their head that this is some kind of silver bullet, that if I just buy leads online, I'll have all the leads that I need. They don't understand that you might have to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phone calls to get engagement with that lead. They don't understand, especially on purchase leads, that most of them won't convert, and the ones that do convert typically convert in 3 to 9 months. Okay? They don't convert. There's very, very few leads in the purchase market that the leads generated and the person's ready to buy and apply right then and there. They don't understand the lag time. So refis, for all of you, you know that those people, the lag time is much less. Most people, a lot of these lead companies, they're selling you leads that somebody, in the middle of the night got on their website. They're saying, hey, they just had a conversation with their spouse and said, maybe we should buy a house. Yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what's going on out there. So there's a lot of seasoning that has to go on. These leads have to ripen. And if your agent doesn't understand that, the one that's asking you to participate in marketing, you're setting up for a lot of money to be wasted. Now, I will tell you, I would make an investment in a co-marketing agreement if there's also the potential for other business. But if all their business is dependent, all the business that you would get is dependent upon this co-marketing agreement and there's no history and no experience there, you're going to be throwing money into the garbage. That's pretty much a guarantee because the person doesn't understand what it takes to convert those leads. Let me move on to the next one, number 5. Having the latest and greatest apps and technology. I'm going to show you something real quick, okay? Now, please understand, I believe in technology. I've got my iPhone and, just like all of you and everything else, I believe in technology, but here's the simple thing. Technology in the mortgage industry will not make you successful. It'll make you more successful. For example, and Dave, I'd love you to jump back in. The Mortgage Coach, which is an amazing program, an amazing product, and it's been around for a long time, and there's so many top producers that are using Mortgage Coach. But Dave, let me just ask you a question. Is Mortgage Coach going to work for somebody who, first of all, doesn't even know how to develop a relationship with a realtor, or will Mortgage Coach work for someone who doesn't have any leads, doesn't even know how to generate leads?
Hey, I say it all the time, and I say it in the sales process. We are not a magic bullet. And so, there's no doubt the most important thing that drives a top loan officer, first and foremost, is your energy. Like, what kind of energy and attitude do you bring to the conversation? And then how often do you bring that energy and attitude to the conversation? Means you got to do the reps, you got to do the practice. And then, yeah, if you're getting after it and you've got leads, and by the way, we can help you generate leads, but there's no doubt, man. I mean, to your point, if you don't say the right things, if you don't do the right things, that's why, by the way, the reason I do these interviews is because while we are a magical, awesome piece of technology, absolutely, but if a loan officer doesn't say the right thing before, like if they don't ask the right questions, if they don't, pre-frame the total cost analysis the right way, it's not magic. So, I mean, I spoke long to your point, but absolutely.
No, it's perfect. It's interesting. There's a seminar, which I'm holding at the end of the month, but I had a gentleman who made an inquiry about the seminar back in December. And I'm just going to share this story because he made the inquiry. So I do what I'm supposed to do. I follow up with him. And he sends me back an email and he goes, I'm not going to be able to attend the event because I just purchased 2 products. Now, this is a person who's been in the business for a while. He goes, I just purchased 2 products. One of them is, I'm not going to say any names, is a product that gives you, it gives you a newsletter, but it gives you also information about, the market, the bond markets, rates, when to lock, when not to lock. There are a few of those different programs out there. And it's a great product, so I'm not taking anything away from that. And the other one is another product that helps with connecting you with agents whenever a listing comes up or what have you. Again, another great product. So I said to him, I go, so let me just understand something. You just spent $1,000 on these 2 products, and you told me you spent $1,000, so now we can't afford a ticket to the event. And I said, but you've been doing business for this many years, 5, 6 years. You have to make a decision now because of $1,000. And I go, one of the products you've already had for a couple of years. Again, he revealed all this information to me in our conversation. So I'm like, do you realize that the product is not solving your problem? I go, you're looking at the products as a solution, not as an enhancement. And he goes, I never looked at it that way. So he's basically, and I know he's not alone, he took the money thinking the product was the silver bullet, but doesn't understand that the product takes you to a higher level. And every top producer that's on this will agree with me that they'll say the technology just takes you to a whole different level, but it's that work ethic, it's knowing what to say, it's knowing how to say it. And David, you had just said, it's how you show up every day. With that energy and that passion. If it's every other day, then your business will never be as successful as that person that shows up every day committed to being successful. So,
and I just thought of a common thing that comes up in mortgage coach land, where new people, start using mortgage coach, and it doesn't happen all the time, but where people will go, well, I sent them the link and they didn't click on it. I'm like, oh, how often does that happen? Oh, like the majority of the time, and I'm like, And then I'll ask Jeremy Forcier, who, over $100 million producer, kills it. Jeremy, how often do people not click on the link that you sent them? He's like, never. Well, come on, like 90%. No, that doesn't happen. Well, by the way, they both have the same tool. They both have the same technology. They both are sending this link via an email to a client, but Jeremy asked some great questions. Jeremy pre-framed it like, hey, I'm going to take your hopes, your dreams, your goals. I'm going to put this total cost analysis thing down. I'm going to email it to you. You need to click on that. He pre-framed, he sold, he created value. And I always say, like, pre-framing the story in many cases is more important than the story itself. By the way, I learned that from Roberto Monaco. So Roberto, a speaker coach that's trained me for years, credit to him. But pre-framing the story is more important than the story. So by the way, sales skills matter. And if you have great skills, technology is insanely valuable. But if you don't, it's not a magic bullet. I couldn't agree more.
Exactly. And you're going to love this. This is, some of it's based upon official research, some of it's my own unofficial. But here's the thing. When I started in the business back in 1984, we had typewriters. That's where the expression type 1003 came. We had these pagers, just digital. And if you were really advanced, you had a multi-line phone. Interest rates were 12.43%. The average loan officer, 1985, was closing about 2.1 loans per month. Any of you veterans that have been in the business back then, I'm sure you're going to agree with me that the number was right about there. Then we advanced a few years, a little time later, we now have these interactive pagers that we can send messages back and forth, and we've got the bad phones now. And if you had a real lot of money, you actually had a phone installed in your car, okay? And now you're cutting edge. You got a Palm Pilot. Rates were 7.93%. 1995, the average loan officer was closing 2.0 loans per month. So it's actually went a little bit lower with slightly more advanced technology. Now we've got our Trios, our Blackberries. We're now using laptops. We've got the internet really starting to grow. Interest rates are 5.87%. 2005, average loan officers closing 2.5 loans per month. Okay? Look at history. We've never broken 2.5 as far as the average. Now, some of you on this program, I know you're closing 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 loans a month. So I'm not talking to you about this. I'm just talking about the averages, okay? For those of you that are struggling. Now we've got iPhones. Now we've got every social media platform. We've got the world in the palm of our hands. In 2016, the average loan officer was closing 2.4 loans per month. Average loan officer, 2.4. And you might be saying, Ron, why do I talk about 2016? Because right now, rates went up, and the average loan officer is down to 1.9. At the end of 2018, looking at December and November numbers, average loan officer is closing about 1.9 loans per month. So tell me, is it technology or is it skills? It's both when you use them together. But if you don't use them together and you depend upon that one other thing, you're setting yourself up and you're guaranteeing yourself that you're going to fail.
Wow, I just got so pumped up. I love that slide and that story and that, it's just like, and here's the deal, guys. Let's say the market's down 20% this year. If you're doing a couple loans a month, by the way, if you're doing 100 loans a year, if you're doing a couple hundred loans a year, you're just badass franchise player. Dude, you're too small to worry about the market. Like everybody in this community, mortgage coach land, we are just too damn small to let the market dictate our success. And you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, this just fuels why do I interview so many people? Why do I do all these calls? Because hey, we have an awesome piece of tech, but if you don't change the way you think, and that if you don't show up differently in the market, it's, the tech isn't a silver bullet. It's the combination of training, inspirational, personal execution with great tech. Because by the way, I do agree.
Absolutely.
I believe that tech's not going to take out loan officers, but badass loan officers that use technology are going to crush loan officers that don't. So anyways, dude, you're killing it. We've only got about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we get to your punchline here.
Yep, we're a great place on the program. Thanks, Dave. And then finally, I'm sorry, last two. Social media is the key to success. Now, by my own admission, I will tell you, I am not, anybody who ever comes to me and says, Ron, I want you to coach me and help me with social media, I immediately tell them I am not the person you want to hire, okay? Not because I don't believe in it. It's because too many people that are coming to me for this, they believe that is the key to success, that if you're not on social media, you're dead. No, social media is just another tool, another platform for you to elevate your business. Now, to me, and people have heard me say this, I'm a straight shooter. I'll make a comment, I'll say, social media for the most part is the garbage dump of people's ideas and things that we just shouldn't care about. Some people don't like that. Okay. I look at what's going on social media. I see the feeds. I got the stuff coming in. I don't push a whole lot out there, but I see what's coming in. And a lot of it's garbage. A lot of it is non-valuable, self-serving, wasted space, wasted time. If you're going to be on social media, it's about putting out messages that create following to you. But like here, I'll give you an example of social media. Here's a strategy. See, this is where social media can help you, but again, it's not the ultimate key. You're going and talking to a realtor. Let's say you go and visit a realtor at an open house. So let's say, let me back up for a second. So here's a strategy. Let's say you are, you're active on social media. You may, whether you're good or not, may not be very important, but you've got a lot of people following you. Or, 500, 1,000 people following you or connected with. You go to an open house on a Saturday or a Sunday. You're going to meet a realtor. So you've done a little research. You know who the realtor is going to be. And you're at the open house and you say, how would you like, or I'm sorry, do you have a loan officer you currently work with? And then whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter. And if they say yes, you say great. And especially, if the loan officer isn't there with them, so it can't be that great. And then I'd say, let me ask you a question. Would it be helpful to you if we could increase not only the traffic to your future open houses, but also increase your visibility in the community, in the area, in the area? Well, what realtor is going to say no? And then you say, well, you know what? You know what I do with my realtor partners? I come to their open houses and we do a broadcast, just like you're watching now. Those of you that are watching me on Facebook, we do a Facebook Live from the open house. And what you do very simply is you go to the, if I'm doing it, I'm just going to do it real quick. I'll say, hey, this is Ron Vaimberg from ABC Mortgage. I'm here with Dave Savage from ABC Realty. We're at an open house here at 123 Smith Street. Hey, Dave, can you tell me a little bit about the house? So he takes, Dave talks for 30 seconds and says, great house, whatever. And I'll say, look, we're located here. We're going to be here till 4 o'clock. But most importantly, if you're thinking about purchasing a home or selling a home, you should give Dave a call. His number is. So now what I did is I just took you as a realtor and I used social media to give you more exposure. Now, I am not telling you not to post things when you have a happy client or what have you, but if you're looking for realtor relationships, then you got to tie your social media in to how you're benefiting them, not just you. But social media by itself, my opinion, you'll starve. But you start advancing concepts within social media, you can take it to a whole different level. And number 7, believing the BS that's being pushed to you every single day. Now, I don't know how many of you have been hearing my messages as of late, but Dave, you interview a lot of great people. And the great people that are doing what I do and that are building real products and services and really putting the message out there right, you have my admiration, and I mean that from my heart. But there's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of people saying, buy my product and all of your problems will be solved. That is pure, unadulterated BS. You have to stop listening to that. So this is what gets me, okay, I'll use the word annoyed, but there's a lot of other words I'd probably use to describe it. I'm just trying to keep this more PG here. But it gets under my skin because not all of these people, I call these people, again, not a blanket statement, but we are loaded with them. I call them charlatans. These are people who are lying to you, giving you a bunch of BS that if you just buy this and your problems are solved. All that does is separate you from your money. If you're going to use the product and they're going to give you, and Dave, this is just a perfect example. You have Mortgage Coach, but you have so much that goes along with it to make sure people use it the right way. You don't tout it as the silver bullet. You tout it as a tool that takes you to a higher level. You just talked about this. Well, most people who are pushing things out there into the marketplace do not provide you that kind of resource and that kind of support. They're basically just telling you the features of their product, and then you link up in your head that that's going to do it all for you. And if you don't know how to present a product, I actually had a client recently. They had sent me a PowerPoint, from a big mortgage company. And I was looking at this PowerPoint that they had created for their salespeople to use to talk about their products and programs. And the first question I said is, or the first statement I said is, I go, this was absolutely not created by a marketer. This was created by a designer. And the loan officer goes, what do you mean? I go, there's nothing in here that persuades someone to use it. It's just simply, here are the features. I go, this was written by someone who's probably never sold a loan in their life. He just started laughing because he knew who created it. It wasn't that loan officer. But this is what's happening. So many marketing departments, and so many companies are just putting things out there, but they're never really showing you that if you first don't know how to speak to people, ask questions, get them engaged, only after you've done that can the product or service or program or whatever really work for you.
Yeah, move the needle. Well, this is Again, just having this conversation, interviewing you reminds me why I like you. But, Ron, is East Coast, New York,
East Coast.
Ron, no bullshit. Every time we get together, we just have great conversations. I'm super pumped to have you in this community. Now, by the way, we got a lot of questions. So everybody who threw in questions, we're going to have a few minutes to do Q&A. We've got 9 minutes till the top of the hour.
Yep.
Ron, if you could just, in a minute, tell folks on this call who want to, one, connect with you so they're on your mailing list, and two, I know you do workshops.
Yeah.
Give us a minute on how we can connect, how anybody who wants to go to the next level with you can do that. And then I want to get into some Q&A, and I have some takeaways I want to nail before we run out of time here.
You got it. First of all, if you want to connect with me directly, you can go to my website at ronvaimberg.com. You can call me through my office at 866-360-6645. Again, 866-360-6645. Here's the deal, okay? I am not a mega training company. I'm not a mega coaching company. I'm Ron Vaimberg, and I have a team of people who support me, okay? I do all coaching and training myself. I do events myself. My next event that I have coming up is called Agent Relationship Sales Lab. It's an event. It's a day and a half. It's actually a day and a morning. It's in LA on January 31st and February 1st. So it's a full day on Thursday, half day on Friday, right by LAX airport. Agent Relationship Sales Lab. You can find out all the details at agentsaleslab.com. That program is all about what it says it is, developing agent relationships. So what we're going to do is we're going to master everything we need to know, all the questions, all the scripting, all the things, all the rebuttals, all the objection handlers on day one. And then on day two, you're going to practice it amongst a group, and only 30 people are allowed to attend. It's a very intimate, very small event, and it's 100% all about developing agent relationships. Dave?
So guys, we're gonna, if you're watching this, we'll put a link down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, link down below. If you're checking this out on Facebook, Ron, if you could put a link in all of our channels, so people are like, hey guys, go here. So in our Facebook group, Productivity Mastermind, there'll be a link to this associated with this call. I want to share my screen just because there's a lot of questions that have come in around scripting. And I just want folks to be really clear on a couple things. When it comes to, call it mortgage coach, we believe that loan officers who use tech will crush loan officers who don't. And we believe that instead of playing checkers, delivering rate fee worksheets, you should deliver, this total cost analysis. But to Ron's point, it's the script. It's like, if you're talking to a real estate agent and you're positioning mortgage coach, it's about, hey, I can improve your borrower conversion rate, and because I can help your families create a sense of urgency faster. So it's saying the right thing at the right time. And by the way, you have to ask a lot of other questions, and that's why I love Ron. If you just start off with, hey, my value prop is this, without the proper context, it doesn't work. And by the way, if you say that value prop, and then this is what you give a family, like, hey, I create urgency and clarity, let me show you how, that doesn't work, And just like at the point of sale, I mean, this is what most loan officers tell their families. I close, by the way, some version of this. I close loans fast, I'm easy to do business with, I'm available 24/7, and I have great rates. And here's my commodity experience, Whereas the one reason why I'm pumped about Ron is he's got all this stuff, and now he's even getting better at helping mortgage coach loan officers go, hey, I help you build wealth with real estate faster by making smarter mortgage decisions and then delivering this. But the point I want to make, and the reason that I'm going on about this, is the right scripting, the right words, in front of this.
Makes all the difference.
Does not move the needle. And in fact, it can create confusion where people are like, oh, I'm confused now. And the total cost analysis can go from this trust building, clarity creating, conversion tool to this whoa, what are all these numbers? It can become this confusion tool. So Ron, I'm just pumped as can be to have you active in our community.
I'm excited to be here.
I noticed you were not invited to the Facebook group. So we've got this great productivity mastermind Facebook group. Folks, I'm going to post the recording. If you have more questions for Ron, he'll tune in. Can I get you for the next 24 to 48 hours that if any questions come into our Facebook group, you'll respond to them?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool deal on that. And then I had some questions come in. I had one person just speak out around social media, and I don't know that this was a question as much as this was just a rant, saying that, authenticity and education are key. So if you're going to show up in social media, you need to show up with a level of authenticity and education. Any particular strategies that you've seen? I have one that I want to share, but can you think of any where some of your clients are using social media and they're executing well around those concepts?
I mean, what a lot of the people who are executing well is they're pushing information out that's not self-serving. They're pushing information out that is informative, where they're positioning themselves as knowledgeable and as an expert versus saying, hey, I'm great at this or I'm great at that or what have you. They're basically, educating, and they have a sincere desire to help people in the community, and that creates the gravitational force to them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to show my screen again because I literally finished an interview right before this interview, and I just pushed it into Facebook. So this loan officer is in a small town in, where Notre Dame is, South Bend, Indiana. And Jonathan, right here, Jonathan is killing it. I mean, he's doing it all right. He's prospecting. He closed like 230 loans last year. The guy is doing it all right. And one of the ideas that he had that I really liked, that I think helps you, is he's interviewing local business owners that are kind of on point. And he's doing it from a heart of, I want to help this local business owner. He lives in South Bend, Indiana. So he's like, mortgage leader, community leader. He's really positioning himself as, I'm a community lender. And he's interviewing, businesses. And by the way, what's he doing? It's pure value. He's now also, getting access to that business owner's Facebook community. So he's positioning himself as mortgage expert, community leader, and he's creating value for everybody. So anyways, check out this interview. It was killer.
That's
so hey, we got 2 minutes left.
Yep.
If you were just going to close with a minute rant for the mortgage coach community, you got some of the best on this call right now. You've got some people that are struggling. Give us a 1 minute rant on what we need to do to take action.
Well, here's my rant for 2019 beyond, but let's talk about 2019. Wherever you are at, okay, regardless of level, you will need, if production continues to decline, okay, now I'm not expecting a meltdown or anything, but even if anything that's dropping, it means that you must develop more relationships to sustain where you are. Now, if you want to grow your business, then you've got to develop a lot more relationships, a lot more referral partners, a lot more marketing action. My biggest thing is simply this: the difference between top producers and bottom producers. Top producers treat prospecting and marketing as an appointment. Bottom producers do marketing and prospecting only when they have exhausted every possible thing to keep them from doing it. So they've worked their files and they've done everything they can so they don't have to face rejection, objections, or anything else that's going to come their way. Top producers make marketing and prospecting the priority. Bottom producers do it as the last resort when they're either desperate for business or basically they just, you know, they have nothing else to do. Marketing and prospecting solves everything, because the more you market, the more you prospect. And this is what I love the most. The more you market and the more you prospect, you get to pick and choose who you work with. And life is too short to work with people you don't like. So if you want to work with people you like and love, then prospect the hell out of yourself and find those people. I see Kim Thompson wrote, amen. And Kim, I don't know you, but thank you.
Yeah, so I want to speak to that for just 1 minute, because I think everybody knows that. You know, there's a lot of folks on this call like, I've heard that. I know I need to prospect. You know, just beat myself up. Why don't I do it? And by the way, I don't have a silver bullet here, but here's what I did. I did listen to an audiobook over the past week called Can't Hurt Me from David Goggins. And this guy, you know, Navy SEAL, ultra, not marathon runner, like we're talking 100-mile runs. And there's this term that he uses throughout the book called callous your mind, you know, and by the way, he runs and does these ultras, not to become more physically fit, because he's addicted to becoming the most mentally strong human he can be. And I was listening to it, and I was thinking to myself, like, all the top producers that I've interviewed, they've calloused their mind around prospecting, you know. And by the way, it's funny because I said, you know what, I got to interview a mortgage coach loan officer who's like the ultra runner of prospecting. And the person who came to mind was Jeremy Forcier. You know, like Jeremy is just the mortgage coach poster boy, and he's calloused his mind. He's a prospecting animal. Yep. And I texted Jeremy saying, dude, I just finished this audiobook and I want to interview you on it. Will you watch it? Or will you do this? By the way, he's on vacation with his family, and he responded, dude, I'm going through it for the second time. So he had just finished it. So I'm going to be interviewing Jeremy around callousing your mind for prospecting, because we want to help you guys grow. Like here at Mortgage Coach, yeah, we have badass tech, and we want you to use it. But if you don't callous your mind and really become a great prospector, and by the way, you don't learn the words and you don't build the skills to have great conversations, you won't be here next year, you know, or you won't have enough money to be part of this community. So anyways, hey bro, I knew this was going to be a killer interview.
Thank you.
I hope your workshop sells out. If you do me a favor and take a picture while you're there and forward it onto the community. And I look forward to our next call, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
And by the way, if you got value, like us, give us a like, let us know if this was cool stuff, and forward it to your mortgage friends. Take care, y'all.
Take care, buddy. Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.